All right, one more today.
Okay, yeah, sure. Hell yeah, we're here.
So, as far as getting out there and doing the training, been working with you for a couple of years, and I see the philosophy taking hold with the departments that you touch. And it's interesting that you're able to give the same message, but yet you're able to customize it to small towns, uh, 5-station suburban departments, big city departments, whoever brings you in, you're able still to get that message to them, even though they're in different working conditions. So can you speak to how you customize your training to different people?
Sure. Number one is take a look at staffing, take a look at their fire engines and the way they're set up. If you want to include trucks in the operation of fire attack, because for the fire department that have trucks, God, trucks are so important. And I said it before, trucks can be as important as engines at fires. I'm talking about real fire situations. That truck, it's like you want to have one truck for every one engine. And so many departments say, oh, we're only supposed to have one truck for every 2 engines. I'm thinking, where's this rule that these guys come up with that says, oh, we're only supposed to have? There's other departments out there that have a lot of trucks. Chicago's got a lot of trucks compared to the ratio of engines out there. And, when it comes to a fire in a structure, you see at least a couple of trucks. When you take a look at older cities, yours included, a small suburban city, older structures, balloon frame construction, remodeling has taken place, older downtown area where you have not only type 3 ordinary, you've got the remodeling process there also. So any fire, small as it may start, has the chance to grow quickly when you don't have truck work there to start venting at the roof, channeling the fire up and out of the building. You scare people when you talk like that. What are you talking about? Channeling fire up and out of the building. Well, I'm talking about you guys getting on the roof. That's that thing about we vent for life, we vent for fire. That's when you're venting for fire, when you're trying to get this fire limited in how much area it's going to destroy in that building. So if we don't have a priority on truck work, it makes engine work all the harder.
I think it shows. You've been doing that training series out in Denison, Iowa for the last 5 years now?
Yeah, 4 years, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And in the last 2 years, you've been bringing out
Colin Kelly and
Mark Cochran from West Coast, and proving dividends, I think, to that small community, volunteer community, but yet seeing the value of not only principled engine work, but principled truck work. And then on the other side of it, you go down to places, a growing suburb like Somerville, where they're growing faster than what I'm used to looking at. And, helping them along, getting their engine operations where they want it to be. And then, oh, by the way, you guys really need to take a good look at truck work.
Yes.
They've got a good leadership there as far as that's concerned.
Somerville, South Carolina.
Yeah, Somerville, South Carolina. So, what's some of you said you go in and you look at the way their apparatus is set up. What's some of the other things you may look at or talk about when trying to customize your training for them? Some of the pointed questions you ask somebody when they call you and say, "Hey Jeff, would you come do some training in my department?" One of the first things out of your mouth is what? What do you want? What are you expecting?
That's what you have to find out. What is it you want us to do? You want us to talk about modern firefighting principles where we're standing halfway between the front door and the street? We're not teaching that. We're not going to teach that. We're going to teach about firefighting. We're going to teach about the philosophy of firefighting. Again, in the podcast that I did with Pressler and Rothmeyer the other day, we were talking about Warren Kimball. Warren Kimball wrote a lot of his stuff with a military approach. Okay? If you're in the service, you realize, like in the Army, for example, you've got the infantry, you got mortars, you got artillery, you got armored cabs, you've got air cabs, you got all these different things that make up the Army and what it is. And the other branches of the service, they have their things too. They're military organizations. And the whole thing is that when I ask somebody, what is it you want? You want me to tell you that engines do engine work, and they do it in a fashion or with a philosophy that says we're going to go after the fire and kill it. We're going to throw as much water as we can through that engine 3/4 line as we possibly can. I'm going to tell you, that's what makes your guys safer and more efficient. Not standing out in the street, throwing water in, that's not going to put the fire out. That's certainly not going to get you into the fire building any quicker. It's not going to make conditions better for anybody who might be trapped in a building. Let's be honest about it, okay? There's a lot of gobbledygook out there, a lot of things that numbers say this and numbers say that. I'll tell you what, when I was a student going for, going to school, University of Cincinnati, in an analytical approaches class, analytical approaches, the prof walks in, this guy's a full-rated professor too, and here we are studying all these numbers about firefighting and response and fire attack and knockdown and all this stuff, right? And the first words out of his mouth were, figures lie and liars figure, gentlemen. We're like, whoa. So, since I remember that was many years ago, and I think the way we're going to make this situation better is by staying with the principles and practices, and that is a military approach. Take as much water as you can, or take as much as you can into battle with you, kill the enemy, as quickly as you can, okay? We've got all this wonderful turnout gear that allows us to approach this fire. We have the ability to move hose easily and quickly and deliver more water. We have better ways of training our guys to make them understand that 2-story house, good fire on the first floor, in the rear, okay? Well then, how simple is it to get a hose line down the alley, in the side door, if we're talking like an older structure, and have one guy grab a pipe pole and just start taking out the windows around that fire area so that line can get into position from that vestibule and start killing that fire as quickly as we can. That's what we're going to talk about when we do strategic fire training, okay? How the two complement each other. Yeah, we can play around with hose lines in the parking lot, or hose lines coming out the top, the top of the 20-story building. That is the real world. So what we need to do is put more of that, in the actual play of it, getting that line in there. That's what we want to work on. So I don't know if I'm making sense or what.
Oh, it sounds good to me. I just want to do a quick look at it for people that are maybe thinking about dropping you an email or a phone call, and seeing, what you're all about as far as getting the training out there. So.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be all about the principles and practices. It's just that simple. We've said that before too. We keep it simple. Hose loads are simple. Attack methods are simple. Okay? Radio communications are simple. Engine 1, charge the line. Charge the line. Get that acknowledgement. Now we mask up. How simple can it get? Okay? The 2 or 3 of us on that attack line. Here comes the water. Give it a good bleed. Listen for the engine to roll up. Okay? Or throttle up. Again, these are simple things along the way that we should be trained to look for. And start the attack. And blast it wide open. Full flow. Just like that. Here's a problem. I was watching something, by the way, the other day on penciling and on controlling the gas cloud.
What?
Yeah. I don't even want to mention the title, and so forth. But when I see that controlling the gas cloud, and I mean, it's just like, get in there, 1, 2, 3, and somebody, I was glad, questioned, aren't you causing a water hammer? And I thought, somebody's on top of that, that's good. The other thing was, somebody pointed out, you're out in the hallway, the fire's continuing to burn. You're not attacking the fire at all. All you're doing is hitting the gas cloud and preventing it from lighting up overhead. That's not fire attack, okay? Fire attack is down and dirty firefighting. That's all it is, And that's why we've realized over time, your best nozzles to do the job are nozzles like these, okay? But you have to have the bail full open to do the job, okay? Some departments like these nozzles, some departments like these nozzles, some departments want this feature, okay? All right? But here's the whole point of it right here.
Solid tube of water, right?
That's right, a solid tube of water coming from that thing right there. Kill the fire. Don't play with it, so forth. So, and again, it's all about principles and practices. Okay, start it up high, work at a different part of the room. We said years ago. In fact, it wasn't years ago. It was decades ago. And I remember, like in your basic training class, we went with solid bore back then because we knew we didn't want any chance of somebody opening up with a fog nozzle on a wide angle fog and pulling that environment down on our guys.
Sure.
So we said, go with solid bore and do it full open because we were seeing bigger droplets of water raining down, bouncing off the upper part of the walls, hitting the ceiling.
You know, they call that water mapping now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's water mapping.
Water mapping.
It's where you coat the ceiling and the wall with water. I don't know, have you heard of that? Wall, ceiling, wall?
No, yeah, I've heard of that, but
right.
you know, that's kind of funny, you know? We called it fighting the fire back then.
Oh, okay.
You know, attacking the fire. Attack it by hitting the ceiling, the walls, and so forth, and dropping it down, hitting the floor occasionally, and so forth, and making it rain all over everything. Yeah, we didn't have to give it any fancy name.
Okay.
So,
Well, drop Shoop an email and get at him. Get more pearls and humor, just like that.
well, whatever. However you want to call it, or however you want to look at it. So, but yeah,
All right.
all about the basics.